We all have days when we don't want to wake up and put on clothes and go to work. And even though I have one of the greatest jobs in the world, a stand-up comedian, even I have days like that. And I love stand-up comedy. It's something that has connected me to my authentic self. It's allowed me to go on stage and present my authentic self to thousands of people, some of whom have never met a trans person in their life before. But even still, I have some of those days when I just don't want to go to work. And I had one of those days a couple of years ago at the end of summer, a summer like so many in this country, where when the weather is hot and people are irritable and uncomfortable and tensions are high, there are a lot of stories of unarmed black men being killed by police that hit the news. And I was depressed. I didn't feel like going out and trying to make people laugh. But that day I had gotten a call from one of my favorite venues in the area. They had a dropout and they needed somebody to fill in. And I thought to myself, well, if comedy is supposed to be my dream job, I have to treat it like a job. And even though I don't want to go to work today, I'm going to go. So I set about doing all the things I could do to make myself feel my best for this show. I went and got my hair done. I picked out the perfect outfit. I went to the show and had a great one. It was a great performance. Afterwards, people were coming up to me, thanking me. It was beautiful. At the end of the night, when I was about to get in my car, I was feeling amazing. The show was great. The people loved me. And I knew at the end of the night, I was going home to my girlfriend at the time who had a fat ass. It was great. It was great. So when I got in my car, I let the sunroof back. I lowered the windows. I turned the radio on high, and I started singing my way down Rock Creek Parkway. And I'm on Rock Creek Parkway for about a couple of minutes, and I'm about, a couple of minutes before I need to pull off into my neighborhood when I see red and blue lights appear in my rearview mirror out of nowhere. And of course, I'm in a good mood, and I know I haven't done anything wrong. All the lights in my car are on. I know they work. I've been using my blinker responsibly. I haven't been speeding any faster than anyone else would on Rock Creek Parkway. So I think, all right, I'll just slow down and pull over to the side of the road so this officer can go around me and be that much quicker to the real emergency that I know this officer is on his way to. But as I pull over and slow down over to the side of the road, so does the officer. And he pulls his car up right behind mine. And in that moment, I'm grabbing my license and registration because I know that's what I need to present. But I'm still confused because I know I haven't done anything wrong. And that's when it hits me, I'm probably being profiled. Because when I got dressed that day and got my hair done that day, I went to the barber shop and I asked for a pretty masculine cut, short on the sides, long on the top. And when I had gotten dressed that day, I had put on specific undergarments to minimize my feminine physique and emphasize a masculine physique. And I'd put on a button-down shirt and a bow tie. I did look pretty good. And also in that moment, I panicked because it was the first time I was being pulled over while presenting as masculine as I am. And I knew I wasn't prepared for a stop like that. My parents, when I was a youngster, they prepared their child for who they thought I would grow up to be. They gave me lots of the talk about how to be a black woman and how you need to be twice as good to get half as much. And they saved all the talks about how to be a black man and how to interact with the police for my brothers. And I knew I didn't really know what to do. So the officer, he comes to my window, and even before the officer can ask, license and registration, I hand them up. And then he confirms for me that he's not really paying attention to who I am as an individual. Because as he reads my identification, he doesn't pay attention to the little F that's on my details on my card. He just says, do you know how fast you were going, Mr. Shorte? He called me Mr. And in my panic, I thought, the best way to make sure I see the end of this stop and drive away home to my fat-ass girlfriend, maybe I'll be safer if this officer knows I'm a woman, he'll treat me more gently than if he perceives me to be a man. And I wish I had some cool way to convince him that I was a woman in that moment. Like, maybe I could have, like, pulled up one of my trouser legs and showed him, like, one of these sexy gams. But at that point, I had stopped shaving my legs years before this. Like, it probably wouldn't have been that appealing. And I wish I could have, like, reached into my shirt and popped out a titty, but they were strapped down pretty tight. I would have had to loosen the tie. It was too much. So in that moment, I did what I thought I had to do to survive. I pitched my voice up. So when he said, "Do you know how fast you were going, Mr. Short?" I said, "Oh, it's Miss Short." And that must have shocked and embarrassed him, because he was just like, oh. And he went back to his cruiser to run my information, or pretend to run my information. And as he was back in his cruiser, I was sitting there in my own silence, thinking how not even 15 minutes before this, I had been on stage accepting the praise of so many people, appreciating me telling my truth, being myself. And in this moment of panic, I had abandoned myself, abandoned and betrayed all the hard work I had done in the therapist chair and on the stage and in the mirror. And after a few minutes, the officer came back to my window, and he gave me a warning. You know, he probably said something like, "Watch your speed." But in my heart and in my head, the warning I heard was, "This is going to happen again, and you will have a choice to make. Who is going to survive? The body, the sense of self, or both?"